Thanks so much, Cam. So Arianna Stokes came to the Sustainability Fellowship with a very strong background in environmental, climate, and sustainability issues from her undergraduate degree from UC Davis in evolution, ecology, and biodiversity. She also had research postgraduate experience at UC Davis, an internship at the Native Plant Trust, and an experience in New Hampshire environmental issues through her work in Senator Hassan's office. We were so lucky to have her work for the Offshore Wind and Port Development Commission before she heads off for a graduate program at the University of Michigan in the fall. Arianna has extraordinary skills at evaluating complex issues and determining what is the essential approach to communicating information to the audiences we need to reach in New Hampshire. Even better, she was able to show us what we actually needed to do and how to do it. She has great management skills. She was able to manage 3 mentors who had their own interests and confusions and find a way to move the project forward. I am really grateful for her guidance on how to ensure that environmental, economic, and social justice issues were prominent, and that the information developed is science-based and without political bias. New Hampshire will see the results of her work when, we hope, the switch is hit next week on Offshore Wind New Hampshire's website. And thank you so much, Arianna, and over to you.
Well, thank you very much for that generous introduction, Senator. It's been a pleasure to work with the Senator and with my other mentors, Michael Behrman and Eric Chapman, and with the New Hampshire Commission on Offshore Wind and Port Development. As the Senator mentioned, I helped to develop communications materials for the Commission to help educate New Hampshire audiences about the Commission's activities and about offshore wind in the context of the Gulf of Maine. Next slide, please. Right, so to start us off, I want to reflect a bit upon where I was about 6 months ago when I first came across the posting for this fellowship. I was really intrigued by the posting, and of course, the first thing that I did was go to Google search offshore wind in New Hampshire. And to my surprise, there was very, very little information available about offshore wind in a New Hampshire and Gulf of Maine specific context. Since receiving this fellowship and starting, I've become even more acquainted with the pressing need for New Hampshire to develop a public communication strategy regarding offshore wind. The offshore wind industry is rapidly evolving along the Atlantic coast, and the clock is ticking for New Hampshire to decide how it wants to participate in these activities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one of my biggest tasks this summer was to create a website for the Commission that would serve as a clearinghouse for the Commission's findings and as an educational resource to learn more about the potential benefits and opportunities that offshore wind in the Gulf of Maine could bring to New Hampshire. And very early on in this process, I realized that for this website to be successful, it needed to have multiple points of entry. For some, offshore wind represents clean energy and climate action, and for others, it represents job creation and investment opportunities. And the Commission needed a website that would draw people in from all of these different starting points. So in crafting my content, I tried to integrate themes of people, place, and economy, while grounding the content in a foundation of offshore wind's capacity to contribute positively to environmental and economic justice. So the website has extensive educational material on the potential impacts and benefits of offshore wind for the state's environment, for the state's fishing industries, and for the state's workforce and businesses. Next slide, please. Thank you. Whoops. Got a little messed up here. I'm not sure what happened, but anyways, I'll just speak it. So as Jen Andrews likes to remind us, we don't do communications for communication's sake alone. We do it to reach some greater goal. And my goal in this work was to enable and inspire more public participation in New Hampshire's offshore wind public policy making processes. And if the slide here wasn't messed up, you would see public participation and some a graphic of some wind blowing to symbolize public participation, blowing the winds of change for offshore wind in New Hampshire. The Commission's website will hopefully fill that void of information that I first encountered when I first Googled offshore wind in New Hampshire. And hopefully the website will equip the New Hampshire public with the information they need to better advocate for their interests in the offshore wind development process. One of my favorite pages on the website lays out explicit ways for people to get involved in the Commission's activities and in the offshore wind development process in general. Next steps for this project will be, as the Senator mentioned, for the website to go live next week, and the Commission will be able to track engagement with the website. Hopefully the website will spur more interaction on the Commission's social media pages, and ultimately we hope to see some new faces from the public at Commission meetings. Another important next step will be for New Hampshire to decide how it wants to collaborate regionally. The state of Maine actually recently launched a new website for one of their offshore wind initiatives. And with our new website going live, we now have an abundance of information available for state-specific audiences. We have information for our Mainers out there, for our New Hampshireites out there. And the next challenge will be to collaborate as a regional community, because ultimately offshore wind is a development endeavor that transcends state boundaries because it occurs in federal waters. So I will leave you with that challenge question to mull over. And in closing, I would like to thank my three amazing mentors, Senator Waters, Michael Behrman, and Eric Chapman. These three people have a tremendous amount of knowledge regarding offshore wind and coastal New Hampshire. I've learned so much from working with them, and it's been a wonderful experience to work with them. I've learned not only about offshore wind, but more about the state that I call home. So thank you.